You have a borderline Hall of Fame career, but then you go on Seinfeld, and I can't think that you thought when you did that it would last and live the way it did. Can you just give me a kind of the surroundings around that and what it means to people? Probably want to hear you say, "I'm Keith Hernandez."
Well, Jerry was a Met fan, Seinfeld, and he grew up in Brooklyn, and I was his favorite player in the '80s. So he and Larry David wrote this. What they wrote was titled "The Boyfriend." So they didn't know how to get a hold of me. I don't know why they didn't go through the Mets. I was retired a couple of years at the time, and eventually they got a hold of me, and I just went and did it. I'd never acted before, and they said I'd had minimal lines, and I wound up I was a guest star, and I had
an hour-long series, two-parter.
Well, Larry David told me when it was all done that if I was really bad, they were going to not use it in sweeps week and make it a half hour. But they wrote the extra scene, and the other subplot was George trying to get unemployment. So that was the next scene, the subplot that would make it an hour. And it all, basically when it was all over and done with, Larry David said it all hinged on you, how good or bad you were going to be. And he goes, and you did pretty good. We were very pleased. And that show turned out to be, iconic. I was just very, very fortunate. It was a great experience. It was a whole week of work. We started on Monday and we finished on Saturday night. And it was all 7 a.m. calls in the morning, and we weren't done till 6 at night while rehearsing and going over lighting and what they call blocking, where the actors have got to be positioned so they don't get out of focus. They changed the script. Everybody was involved. There was Larry, there was Jerry, there was 3 other writers, and all the principal actors contributed every day to try experiment with each scene to make it better. So that the creative part of seeing that episode unfold through the week was the most fun for me. But I was so nervous when it came time to actually do it in front of a live audience that I wasn't when I was done and we finished. We wrapped after that. We did it live in front of in studio on Saturday morning. I was going to fly home. I was so exhausted from the week's work that I just wound up staying in L.A. At a hotel in Santa Monica on the beach for an extra 5 days just to chill and relax, and I finally flew home.
And did you ever say, is this really the script? I mean, you had to look at that thing and go, okay, come on, this. Did you find it funny? Did you say, well, I don't know, this seems kind of weird for me to be saying these things and having Jerry come, I mean, and were you a fan of the show at that time?
I was not a fan of the show. I didn't know about the show. I'm not a big primetime watcher, still not today. And I didn't know anything about the show. And it was the second year, I believe, of the show. The first year it didn't quite take off. It took off, basically, Larry David told me it took off after our episode, which was what they were hoping for. When you're reading the script, it's like reading a play. And I'm not a trained actor, but when we started doing rehearsals of the various scenes, then I realized that it was pretty funny and pretty clever. With when JFK just came out, the movie, the Magic Loogie, and all that, and all the different subplots, and I realized this is pretty good. But I never realize that it was going to be that popular an episode.
Last thing I have for you, and I'm sure you get asked about it all the time, the mustache. I mean, it's a life of its own, right? I mean, this has become the signature. I mean, Albert Bosky is the Fu Manchu, and this mustache is, you shave it, and then people went nuts. Tell me a little bit about how weird that is. This is part of you.
Well, to tell you the truth, I grew the mustache. I tried growing the mustache very early when I was young, 18, 19. And it's all because of Clint Eastwood and all those spaghetti westerns that he played when he had the mustache. And that's the reason why I wanted to grow the mustache. So it's all Clint Eastwood's fault. And it just kind of stays with me. When I don't have it on, I feel like a different person. I don't feel like the same person. I feel kind of like I'm half naked or something. But it's there. It's going to stay. And it's a pain in the butt sometimes. You get older. You kind of maintain it and trim it up. And I get a little tired of doing that. But I don't like the way I look without it, and I'm just so used to having it my whole life. So there it is.
You're a cult guy. I mean, what does it mean? And I already said last question, but I've seen these things where you're coming in and they've got film of you walking into the ballpark, and fans. I mean, they love you up there. I mean, but you've kind of become a cultish type person. Is it It's just part of your thing, right? I mean, I'm Keith Hernandez.
Well, I guess that's a good way to put it. We're very good in the booth, the three of us, and I must say our producer, Greg Picker, is our producer and realizes it's just me. I'm able to be natural and not be forced, and I can be silly. And I think in a course of 162 games, and I do 110 broadcasts, most games aren't as exciting, and you've got to have a little entertainment value there. And I guess we appeal to the New York fans, but I don't do anything. I mean, it's just me. It's me in front of a camera. It was the hardest thing to do. Was when you're looking into the camera, everybody would say, "Pretend it's your girlfriend. Pretend you're looking in the camera and it's your dad or your mom." Well, it's a camera.
But you can fall asleep up there too. They even let you fall asleep, and you don't.
That was in between innings. That wasn't a great thing right there. But
still, I mean, but most people would get skewered, and they're like, Keith's having fun. He's in 12th inning.
Well, that got on Letterman and all the late night shows about but that was in between innings, and I had done a promotional thing all day that day, and it was for Habitat for Humanity. I went over and helped build a house over in Jersey from like 6 in the morning to like 5, and I went right to the ballpark, and I was exhausted. So I just told our AD, and I said, "Wake me up when we come out of commercial." And I laid down. I was so tired, I fell asleep. And then she tapped me on the shoulder, and then my producer put it on the air. And that maybe wasn't the wisest thing to do, but it adds to the mystique, the lore of our broadcast, and I guess me. But it's okay.